Mid-century America was experiencing a time of prosperity and growth. All over the country, suburbs were cropping up. New and affordable housing developments with all the modern amenities were increasingly popular. Marin County, with its simultaneous proximity to and isolation from the city, was no exception to this trend. The open hills of southwestern Marin were slated to house the next big development. In 1964, a radical new plan for Marin County's future was proposed.
Gulf Oil Corporation and the Fruge Corporation planned to build a city of 30,000 people right where we are right now.
The city would be entirely self-contained, with its own schools, stores, houses, and 50 apartment buildings.
What Fruge claimed was that as you drove across the Golden Gate, you would have no idea that the city was even here.
The entire city would be hidden from view, nestled away from the rest of Marin. Furthermore, to conserve the natural beauty of the area, the leaders of the development promised that 90% of the proposed city would be open space.
Really, only 10% of the space was developed. When you questioned him how he defined open space was anything that was not directly beneath a building foundation. So your sidewalk, the street, your driveway, all of these things were open space.
Until the mid-1900s, the American military owned the land upon which the city was intended to be built. The military sold the region for land development during the 60s. Thomas Fruge, a developer from Pittsburgh, partnered up with the Gulf Coast Corporation for the purchase.
Gulf Oil was one of the largest oil companies in the world in 1964. The Fruge Corporation was one of the largest development companies in the nation.
It is probably the most beautiful location in the United States for a new community, he wrote. The sales pitches began, with developers showing off a scale model of the future metropolis. Many county leaders supported the plan. People thought that by building a large city in this area, the pressure to develop the other parts of Marin would lessen. 1 year after its initial proposal, Marincello was put up for a vote within the county. The development was passed by only a single vote.
The bulldozers started their work, and they started cutting and excavating some of the roads. And when you hike around the headlands, you'll see these swaths of road cuts.
The response from the community was mixed. To some, Marincello was attractive as a well-planned and beautiful city tucked away from the sea. Yet others felt compelled to stop its creation. Those few saw the true value of its land in its natural state. Multiple petitions against Marincello were presented, but all were disregarded or declared invalid.
The county clerk found ways to negate some of the signatures, just enough so that this never could come up for a vote.
By 1967, the development of the site had slowed due to legal issues and large expenses, and a brave few jumped in to continue the fight against Marincello through a legal struggle.
What finally gave open space advocates a little bit of breathing room was that in 1967, the bulldozers suddenly stopped because the Fruge Corporation and Gulf Oil went to court. Gulf Oil was becoming a little concerned about the way Fruge was financing his project, and they had a disagreement and they went to court.
Martin Rosen, Douglas Ferguson, and Robert Braitzel led the legal fight against Fruge.
They decided to fight Fruge and Gulf Oil any way they could through legal channels.
The developer had taken many legal shortcuts, which have not been exposed. Working tirelessly for nearly a decade, Rosen, Ferguson, and Braitzel uncovered these blunders one by one.
Robert Braitzel was the man who finally succeeded in actually stopping Marincello.
The Marincello side lost the case, and the county withdrew their support for the development. Since this resolution, many proposed new developments have been met with resistance by the people of Marin.
You had a chance for people to say, you know, not only do we not want the development, we'd like to see something else. Maybe it could stay open space. Maybe you could have a really new idea, an urban national park.
The victory of the conservationists over Marincello set a precedent of natural awareness and preservation of beautiful open spaces around the county.
Some of the things that we assume that we have a voice in now, like whether or not a city can be built on your doorstep, The new law was written as a result of this fight.
Decades later, a natural park runs up the Marin coast, protecting the place where Marincello almost was. The site attracts 16 million people each year who come to hike, camp, and study in the preserved area. Many of them are unaware of how close this natural wilderness came to becoming a busy suburb.